Hello, I'm Bobby Savoy, AARP Louisiana State President. And did you know that the American Red Cross is running their Sound the Alarm, Save a Life campaign? Well, we're going to find out about it from my guest today, who is Stephanie Fox. And Stephanie is the Regional Communications Director for the American Red Cross. Thank you so much for joining us today, Stephanie.
Thank you so much.
So let's hear about it, Stephanie. What is Sound the Alarm, Save a Life?
So, Sound the Alarm, Save a Life is part of our larger program around the Home Fire campaign. The Home Fire campaign started in 2014 with a desire to decrease death and injuries in home fires, create an opportunity for folks to be educated, to have the tools and the supplies by way of smoke alarms so that tragedy does not happen in the event of a home fire, and to ensure that people know what the common causes around home fires may be. So, once the home fire campaign was created, a couple of years later, there was a realization that we had the opportunity and the means to be able to go into communities and to provide additional resources. So that created Sound the Alarm, Save a Life. For 2 weeks each year, we have teams that go out door to door into communities that have these discussions around what are common causes of home fires, how to create a home fire escape plan, how to ensure that you do have a meeting location outside of your home, and how to keep your family safe in the event of an emergency. In addition to that, we install free smoke alarms through partners in the community and agencies, including the fire departments on the local levels, to ensure that we are getting into those at risk communities and ensuring that, again, they do have the tools and the education needed to be able to keep their families safe. This year looks a little bit different because of the COVID-19 environment. So we are doing a lot of our activities virtually. We have the ability for folks to actually now register for virtual homes made safer. So instead of going out directly into communities and to folks' homes, because of the pandemic and our desire to keep with our workforce as well as the communities that we're serving safe, we are doing virtual homes made safer where folks can schedule a time to speak with us. We'll call, we'll walk through in real time how to create that home fire escape plan, where that meeting spot should be, common causes of a home fire, as well as talking through if they have a need for free smoke alarms to be installed and connecting them with the right local agencies to ensure that we can get in and we can do that. So we encourage folks to call our number, or visit our website, or of course visit our social media. I'm going to pull this number up now, but folks can call 225-240-8266, email preparedness.la@redcross.org, or visit any of our social media platforms. All of that information is getting posted at least once a day, to register for this free virtual experience where we are, again, encouraging folks to have that 2-minute drill, to create that home fire escape plan, to test those smoke alarms monthly, and to ensure that they're doing everything they possibly can to keep their families safe.
So saving lives sounds like a big piece of the result of installing these fire alarms and smoke detectors. And any other important things to mention about having a home fire escape plan and a working smoke alarm?
Yeah, so the two big focuses for this year's campaign, because we are doing it virtually, and in some cases may have some of those doorstep educations that occur, but in a more socially distanced manner, is to encourage folks to practice and develop their 2-minute drill and to ensure that they're checking their smoke alarms monthly. So with the 2-minute drill, we encourage folks to have at least two ways out of each room of their dwelling. That may be out of a window, even if you have a multi-level dwelling, that may be downstairs, that may be, you know, into another room to get out of another doorway. So we want to make sure that people establish exactly what those routes may be, depending on where a fire could occur. In addition to that, because you only have about 2 minutes to escape a fire before the smoke and the chemicals that do come out of burning different things within a home start to impact you, we want to make sure that you're consistently practicing that. If you have folks that may come into your home and may not be familiar with the layout, or you may have friends sleeping over if you have children, or you may have family members that come over. You want to make sure that you practice that drill, that you're making everybody in the household aware of it, and that you're also putting it on somewhere, that's frequently visited. So maybe putting that home fire escape plan on your fridge so it's something that everybody looks at consistently. And then with smoke alarms, it's actually you decrease the chance of death and injury in a home fire by 50% by having working smoke alarms. So we encourage folks to check those smoke alarms frequently, to replace batteries if needed. But then agencies like the American Red Cross, like the State Fire Marshal's office, we all install smoke alarms for free, and we do so in partnership with our local fire departments. So for folks that may not have the ability or the means to have smoke alarms in their home, they can contact the Red Cross. They can sign up through the State Fire Marshal's office, and we can actually come in and install smoke alarms through these community partnerships, through these fire departments that we work with, to ensure that you have the tools necessary to keep your family safe.
That's a great service to be able to provide and install those smoke alarms. And the other thing they say is practice makes perfect. So the more you practice, the better you get at it. And you don't want to be practicing when you can't see where you're going. If you know where you're going, at least you can get out if you have enough warning to do that. So, a lot of people think a home fire, it's not going to happen to me. So what might be some common misconceptions about home fires?
Yeah, you really hit the nail on the head with that. A lot of folks don't expect that they could ever be the victim of a home fire. And in a lot of cases, home fires are something that are preventable. And the tragedy that comes with home fires are preventable as long as you have those smoke alarms in your home and you practice your 2-minute drill. But there are so many things that can cause a home fire. In Louisiana, specifically in the month of February, because of the cold weather, because of the snowstorm that we had in central and north Louisiana and those brutal cold and bitter temperatures, we actually responded to an average of 11 home fires a day across the state, which is at least twice as many as we traditionally respond to. So I think a common misconception, though, is that home fires only occur when it's cold out. We have folks that sometimes don't have central heating in the state of Louisiana because we don't traditionally have a lot of cold weather. We don't have any kind of snow or ice that happens frequently. So people resort to alternative heating methods, sometimes using their oven or their stove, which is incredibly dangerous. People use space heaters, which, when used appropriately, can be a really good source of heat. But a lot of folks use them too close to something that is combustible. It could be sitting on a piece of furniture that could catch fire, or too close to bedding, or it could be too close to somewhere where it could be a burn hazard. So, while of course these home fires could occur in the cold weather, it's also important to know that something as simple as leaving cooking unattended can actually cause a home fire. If you have something on the stove and you might forget a pot of boiling water, or you might forget that you are out there and you're working on creating, something deep fried, as we'd love to do here in the deep south. That can quickly turn tragic if you're not constantly watching that. Um, Another misconception is that folks think, well, if there's something happening in the kitchen, I should use, water, especially if it's something pertaining to oil or some sort of grease fire. And that is absolutely never the case. You should always use something to cover it. So if you have a cookie sheet that you can put quickly over a pan, if it does perchance ignite as you're working on it on the stove, that's a really, really important step to take in the event of a fire in your kitchen. Because if you do put water on a fire that is um, with grease or with hot oil, it can actually spread very, very quickly, and turn into a much bigger issue than if you were to just put something on top of it to kind of douse those flames, turn the heat off, and then come back to it when you know that it is cooled down. Another common misconception, again, that it's not me, it's not going to happen to me. And in some cases, it's things that we don't have control over that may cause a fire in our dwelling. Sometimes there are electrical fires that happen, and you may practice and ensure that you are following safe heating practices, safe cooking practices, safe home fire practices. But you all of a sudden have something that's occurred within the electrical components in your home, and that can spark and cause a home fire. So while we do have things that we can do and steps that we can take to ensure that our families are safe, um, there are some things that we just can't control. So that's why we want to ensure that folks do have those plans, and that they're practicing them. Practice does absolutely make perfect for all of those folks in your dwelling to ensure that they're safe if an emergency does happen.
So many misconceptions that we begin to think as, this is fact, but a lot of times just fiction. And so, being aware, uh, taking advantage of these tips, all great tips to help us be more aware of how to safely protect ourselves. So the American Red Cross has been around a long time, and it's in a lot of places, not only in the United States, but also serve in other parts of the world, and pretty well connected in communities, especially in this country. So, how does the Red Cross respond after a disaster like a home fire?
So the Red Cross responds to an average of around 60,000 disasters a year, and a vast majority of those are home fires. Here in Louisiana, during a typical calendar year, we respond to an average of 4 home fires a day. So it's incredibly significant as far as our response is concerned. When folks do have a home fire, either the fire department can call us or the folks themselves can call us. And there are several levels of emergency immediate assistance that we can provide. Everything from ensuring that folks have a safe place to stay that night to ensuring they have access to food and water and necessities, including toiletries. The Red Cross can also replace prescription medication for folks who have fires in the kitchen. A lot of us keep our prescription medications in the kitchen cabinets. So if there is a fire and it gets a little out of hand, those things can be lost very quickly. In addition to that, the Red Cross provides replacement of durable medical equipment, things like walkers and wheelchairs, CPAP machines, for instance. In addition to that, the Red Cross has the ability to provide mental health care and guidance for folks because any type of tragedy, but especially one that happens in our homes, is going to be traumatic for those who may lose loved ones or may face injuries or just are afraid and unsure of what is going to come next. It's a lot to deal with. So the Red Cross also has the ability to provide mental health care and guidance to those folks who've gone through something like a home fire. So we look to really help and necessitate the transition immediately after a home fire. And then from there, we look into more of our long-term recovery. And we have caseworkers that are assigned to a family who's gone through an emergency like a home fire. And after that emergency, immediate assistance is issued. Within the next couple of days, they start to look at some of those roadblocks that folks may have in their recovery process and assessing exactly what they may need to do to act as an advocate for those families and help with connecting them with community partners and community organizations that can fulfill maybe some of those larger or long-term needs. And our teams work consistently for about a month with these individuals who have gone through the home fire to ensure that whatever those needs might be, whether they be short term or long term, they are fulfilled. And that we have done everything to the best of our abilities and then connected to partners and agencies within the community to fulfill additional needs that may come up. So, home fires are incredibly frequent across the state of Louisiana. Again, whether that be because of cooking or home heating practices, or there are really many ways that home fires can occur. So it's something that we respond to on a daily basis.
Yeah, and just so many services that the Red Cross provides. It's unbelievable and probably little known by a lot of people because there are a lot of those services that you mentioned that I was not aware of, and we appreciate you bringing that to our viewers' attention. So, in that vein, if people like me or our viewers want to get involved or take advantage of this program, how best can we do that?
So, for anybody who may experience an emergency or a disaster like a home fire or the larger scale disasters that folks are, most familiar with the Red Cross responding to, they can call 1-800 Red Cross. From there, our teams at the national headquarters will connect them down to the local level and to those folks that are going to be in the right community to get help as quickly as possible. For folks that are interested in volunteering, and whether that's helping with home fire responses or volunteering with our service to armed forces department, or volunteering to go and have these educational discussions with folks on how to be safe in the event of an emergency. We are always looking for volunteers, both in person as well as for virtual activities. And to get involved with that, you can again call 1-800 Red Cross, but you can also visit our website, redcross.org, and you can sign up to be a volunteer. And we'll have somebody from the local team reach out to see kind of what your interests are, what your skills are, and kind of where you would like to fit into the organization from a volunteer perspective. 90% of the American Red Cross workforce is actually volunteers. So we couldn't do what we do without the generosity of those folks coming and supporting the Red Cross in that volunteer capacity every single day. And then, of course, on those larger scale operations, as we do respond to things like hurricanes and larger scale disasters. So, and then, of course, we couldn't do what we do without the generosity of our donors as well. So, we encourage folks who have the means and have the interest in supporting from a financial perspective. They can do so again at 1-800 Red Cross or by visiting redcross.org.
Stephanie, I get the sense that the American Red Cross is much like AARP, that we depend a lot on our volunteers to do the work that we do. In Louisiana, AARP has 450 or 60,000 members. We have a staff of 7 in 2 offices. And so the work would not get done without the dedication of our volunteers, much the same as the American Red Cross. So uh, for those people that want to volunteer for either organization, we have lots to offer, and our members and the public uh, like to take advantage of and or have the opportunity to receive services from our volunteers. So, Stephanie, we appreciate so much you taking the time to be with us today. Thank you for that. To talk about the program, the American Red Cross, and certainly I wish the best for another successful campaign this year. And hopefully, through campaigns like this, we can make progress toward fire safety awareness. So this concludes our conversation with Stephanie and the great information that she shared with us. And until next time, have a great day.
Thank you.